Just going to the context with, obviously with the Clippers, man. With the Clippers, I'm gonna try and do this as quick as I can. Just talk about some things and give context. Obviously we saw, with the Clippers that the best lineup was obviously their small ball lineup in terms of just defensive intensity, attaching. You saw the difference. You saw the difference even when they did play drop coverage. You saw now that mans were gapping, mans were shrinking, mans were rotating. I don't like the fact that Donovan Mitchell, again, you're seeing that another injury, right? There's been so many injuries, man. You see the Kyrie, it's just crazy, man. The amount of injuries. I've never seen a year with this amount of injuries, right? In terms of just superstar players injured, coming back, injured again. Like, obviously, COVID does have something to do with it in terms of the condensed season, amped amount of games, no more back-to-backs, all that type of stuff does play a role. But even then, just in general, I've never seen a playoff this injury-riddled. But, that's why, the finals might not be the finals anymore. We don't know. Hopefully, it can get back to that. But, just talking about the Clippers, like PG, that's why I always tell people, when Kawhi is Kawhi, now when you get other things, it's mainly a bonus. Because Kawhi just being Kawhi and a role player is doing their, not the bare minimum, but doing decent amount of whatever. You've seen the stats of Kawhi in all the fourth quarter wins. He hasn't missed a shot, right? That's what I'm saying. That's the blueprint. So I know a lot of y'all have been coming at me saying, you can't, what LeBron has another guy could do this, KD has another guy that could do this, whatever. I'm not talking about whether you have another guy that could do this or whatever. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about what's at hand, so you have to do what's at hand. And now if you do what's at hand and now it doesn't work, now we could talk about the other guys. I can't talk about the other guys if you don't do what's required when you're supposed to be that guy. When you're that guy, you have to do what's required all the time. That comes with being that guy. That's why you're so different. That's why you're not regular. That's why you get paid different. That's why you're known as a superstar. There's levels to this. So I can't now, based on, give you an excuse. Yes, I'm not going to be mad and ridicule one game you're not that guy. But in the grand total, you can't have 2 straight games. You can't have 3 straight games. You can't have multiple stretches of not being that guy. Now, if you're not that guy because you're missing, that's different. I'm talking about just being aggressive. I'm just talking about taking the shots. Talking about showing ability. That's what I talk about. And that's where Kawhi, it's like sometimes you don't know which Kawhi you're going to get. And I know a lot of it is obviously due to his knees, where he has chronic knee issues and whatever, and pain that, so maybe one day it's like coming out the gate is just not the same. It's it's the injury. That's why you can see he's short, because now he's had a game 7 and he's more fresh earlier there, and now he needs a couple games to just get his flow back to be to kill and whatever. But even then, I just see him not shooting some shots. I see him trying to go to the paint, and that's probably the reason why too, because he knows that his shot is short and whatever. But you just gotta fight through and go through it, and pull it in. Just try at all times. So that's why I say from Kawhi and what I say about Kawhi. But at the end of the day, now if you have PG being PG and, being a playoff P and not a pandemic P, in terms of and it's just a mental aspect. It's not a skill. He's always fluid. I always talk about this all the time. He's fluid. He's elite. His skill is actually a superstar level talent, but his mentality is not. And that's where you could see sometimes it's like he's an all-star. Sometimes he's a role player. Sometimes he's a superstar. There's literally 3 versions of him. And that's where, it's just a mentality thing in terms of the bubble. The pandemic P thing is get to him once he saw it, and he's always overthinking. You can see he's overthinking. He's like aiming, like I always say, he's aiming his shot. He looks like he's overthinking on his shot. He's not shooting him with confidence. But then when he's hitting, if he comes out the gate hitting, you can see he feels good, and you can see him shooting, doing quick releases, shooting from deep. You know what I'm saying? Like doing more step back, doing more tough shots, and he's shooting it like he's like, I'm hitting this. Like, I feel nice. That Diddy bop. And when you get that from PG, that makes this team look like a finals-bound team. Let's be honest. That's when you now see the blowouts. That's when you now see it's actually like Kawhi being Kawhi is just the recipe for winning. But when you add PG being at least some version of PG, elite version of PG, like even with in terms of game 3 and 4, I'm pretty sure he played pretty well versus Dallas, and he was just attacking the paint. So when it was him and Kawhi and PG scoring close to 30s or above or whatever, that's when now you saw 2 blowouts basically. But when it's only Kawhi by himself, that's enough to get you a win. You saw that in game 6, right? You saw that in, it's not going to be a blowout. But when you have Kawhi being Kawhi and then another player coming to like a all-star level, whether it's Morris today, whether it's Paul George today, whether it's Reggie Jackson today, that's where you see a win or that's where you see almost a blowout. But just Kawhi by himself with the role players, even sometimes struggling, is enough to get you wins. You've seen that in other games. You're going to be in a close game. Now it's up to you just have to close. And game 6, he closed. Even game 2 that they lost, Kawhi had 41, and he didn't close. But it was close. You know what I'm saying? So that's the recipe for just being in the game is Kawhi. Now, to guaranteed win and blowout, now you add PG. It's out the gates. You saw that in game 3 with the Sun, you saw that in game 3 with with the Jazz. So, when you add another guy on that, that's when you get the blowout. You're getting to the blowout stratosphere. So that's why I say the common denominator is Kawhi being Kawhi, which is why I'll always look if Kawhi is being Kawhi. If he's not, I don't even try to focus on role players because we know what it is. He went to LA. You can't he made this decision. He knows what they are at this point. He's seen last year history. He's seen this year history all year. Now we know what it is. We know what the blueprint is. So we can't, now want to give blame to other people. Like, come on. Now, if Kawhi's not being Kawhi, we give blame to Kawhi. When Kawhi is Kawhi, now we can look at other things. So now let's look at, their best lineup again, like I said, is their small ball because they switch, they double, you know what I mean? They rotate properly. They were doing they just have more mobility and they could literally make a mistake and get back the mistake in their quicker rotations because of the mobility. With Zubac being there, it's like, I don't know, it's like they can't think. It's like they can only think one way. Okay, I can switch everything. Only this guy, we don't switch, we good. They don't think because with Zubac, with the drop coverage, you have to, it's an every play, every screen scenario basis. Now, if he sets the screen based on how the screen is, I know if I go over tight, if I go under, or for this, I have to read the screen properly. If I get stuck, it's too much opportunity it's too much of an opportunity for miscommunication, right? Miscommunication can happen at any given time, as opposed to where, okay, we can run the same thing. We know it's this. Now there is scenarios where you have to read, we're stuck on the screen, we don't switch, or obviously, but for the most part, it's the same specific game plan, which is why you see them move better in that small ball. And if you actually pay attention, a lot of times they do miscommunicate and someone does sus, but because of the mobility and that pass is skipped to the corner, they do have enough time to get back and cancel the mistake, right? But they can't do that in the Zubac drop and when you have a big there. So it's more harder for them to make up for a mistake or anything like that. So that's why you see what you see. And it's just unfortunate that they can only play their best version of defense in the small ball. But because there is benefits to Zubac setting screens free up a lot of PGs, because they play drop coverage themselves with Rudy. It frees up a lot of PG's mid-range pull-ups, threes off the gap. It makes shots way more easier. Kawhi could just pick and then go to the mid-range and do his fade that he normally does, his pull-up that he normally does. So, taking out Zubac, obviously, and then now you guaranteed there's less offensive rebounds, stuff like that. There's a lot of benefits that are crucial benefits that Zubac does bring to the table, but again, it's about the defense. Is it a big negative? Is it not working? So that's why you see their best lineup be that. But, I do have the Jazz obviously losing the next game, game 4. And I think the Clippers can win 4 straight, something they should have done versus the Mavs. And a part of this it's unfortunate if Mitchell is still hobbled. That will dictate this. Maybe Conley does come back. You don't know because, again, there's still no Conley. That does change how they now play the drop coverage because Conley will float her if even with his offhand. So, which is his right hand because he's left-handed. So, it does change. There's a lot of different dynamics that do get changed off of whether Mitchell is hurt or whether, Conley stays hurt or plays now, right? So, we have to wait and see. It's a game time decision kind of, what are we going to do? But for the most part, it's just if PG is PG, they're winning the next 4. If this is the unlock for PG, if this was the unlock game for PG, they're winning 4 straight. I'm not even budged by that. It's guaranteed in my eyes because I've seen too much. I know what it is, and I know what PG scoring, what even does for the team. They're like, oh, PG. It kind of relieves some things because you kind of have that looming cloud. If PG's hitting, it's like, here we go again. I know the teammates feel that. They might not say it, but it's in their minds. If it's in PG's mind for here we go again, it most definitely is in for the teammates, even the coaching staff. So, and Reggie Jackson's been playing great, man. He's been playing great. There's been a lot. Batum has been playing great, low key. People won't talk about it, but defense, there's certain angles he gets beats on, but he's been playing great overall for the most part. He's been playing great. So, I like to see, obviously, if, how they're going to plan out. I want to see Mitchell's health, what it is. Maybe the news does come out by the time this video comes out, but I am looking forward to, to seeing how they move. And we'll see, if, obviously, like I said, blueprint, Kawhi being Kawhi, you have an opportunity to win every game. Kawhi being Kawhi, and then you add a PG or a Marcus Morris, or especially you add a PG, blowout. Kawhi being Kawhi, then you add just people doing generic, or one guy doing better than better than he normally does, and everyone's kind of mediocre or okay. That's enough to still win. So that's the levels of blueprints. You know what I mean? And that's what, at the end of the day, common denominator is Kawhi being Kawhi. There rarely has been a game without Kawhi being Kawhi in terms of aggression and showing ability, not just running into the paint. And even sometimes, even if he just runs into the paint, just Kawhi being aggressive and trying to score and kill. There hasn't been a game. There's only been one game, I think, that he's done that where they've lost. And I think that was game 2 versus the Mavs, where he had 41. Other than that, most of the times they lose, he's been passive and hasn't been scoring. Like, that's amazing. That fourth quarter stat is crazy. But, it's what elite looks like. So we'll see how it pans out. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Who should not be playing, who should be playing. I even like Kennard been playing. Even Pat Bev giving a 1-2 defensive minutes. Like, I like how they've been playing. People do want Cousins to play more, but again, the drop coverage, if it's not working with Zubac, it's gonna work with Cousins, but at times it's not gonna work. But I do think they should play Cousins a bit more. You know what I'm saying? A bit more, give him some rhythm, give him some, because that pick pop 3 could literally be floodgates too, because he does do that, right? So, I think he should be playing with Favors and not playing with Gobert, because Gobert in the paint, because Cousins has been grounded a lot of times and he's getting in bad situations, he's been getting blocked. But if he plays with Favors, that's a different story. But, we'll see how that transpires. We'll see. So, because, Rudy Gobert plays the top of the second, so the bench minutes isn't really the bench minutes for the center position, right? For everybody else, it is because Mitchell is out and whatever, but Gobert plays with the bench. So we'll see how that transpires. So, we'll see, man. We'll see.